I was worried about a nip slip. This shirt came in as a little bit smaller than I realized. I was like, is my nipples hanging out? You can't tell because I'm covered in tattoos. And that's a wrap. Was that episode 950 or something like that of the Tailored Life podcast? Random episode. It wasn't going to be a Q&A, but we had the videographer himself step in. We talked a lot about motivation, a lot of things that we're probably going to share today because it was a really good conversation, talking about putting yourself out of your comfort zone, forcing yourself into situations and circles and environments that force you to grow. And shit, I can tell you that like during even this reverse diet process, last couple weeks have been brutal. The wavering motivation you have, stay on top of your shit and keep discipline, all that stuff when motivation is low. Fatigue is high. It can be difficult, and we all go through that. But today's a push day, so I have chest, shoulders, and triceps. It is 3 p.m., which is like the ideal time to train, in my opinion. You have a lot of food in your stomach, you have a lot of hydration, your joints have been moving, you feel better in the gym, but you gotta get used to it if you're a morning trainer. It takes some time. Nonetheless, we're gonna go hit a full push day, so you're gonna see chest, shoulders, and triceps. Let's get into it. I'm actually highly motivated to train today, believe it or not, which has been not the case lately. All right, so we are starting with some pre-fatigue. We're gonna jump right into it. We're gonna start with some seated cable flies. Just trying to really get a big stretch, get a pump, not overly fatigued, but bring some blood flow into the chest. Then we're gonna go flat chest press on the Smith machine. Then we're gonna do an incline with dumbbells. Then we're gonna go into shoulders and get some lateral raises, some rear delt flies, and then we're gonna finish with triceps. So we got a lot on the schedule today, but I'm excited to get into it. Lately, I have not been nearly as motivated to train. And I say lately, probably just as this week. There's so many variables that factor into why our motivation or our mood or our stress wavers up and down. And you have to take a moment, become aware, fix the issue, and get back to business and what you're doing. And when you go through a diet, whether it's a reverse diet or regular diet, you're gonna have these days all the time. You're gonna get in your head, you're gonna rationalize, you're gonna make excuses. But if there's one thing I can say, it's that you are your worst enemy, and you have to kind of go to the drawing board, journal, meditate, think on this stuff, and pull yourself out of it. Nobody's gonna save you. Nobody's gonna do it for you. Nobody's gonna inject motivation for you. Discipline is what allows you to keep going. And when you keep going, you reform that motivation because you remember why you're doing it in the first place, and you start to see results again. And when you see results, there's nothing more motivating than that. I also just realized we're doing the wrong workout today. It's still a push day. It's still chest, shoulders, and triceps. I realized it's push day 2. And this is why you should pay more attention to what you're doing. So I started doing chest flies, which is not a big deal because I've only done 1 set, but it's actually push day 2, and this is a good education. If you're setting your program up and you're hitting muscle groups twice a week, you're doing push, pull, legs, you're doing upper, lower, you're gonna hit each muscle group twice. You should have an emphasis on one body part versus the other and hit that one first so you can put more weight towards it, unless you're specializing in a group. So if I was really, really focused on just my chest and not my shoulders, it would be smarter to start with chest on both of my push days because it gives it the emphasis. But because I'm not just focused on my chest, I am focused on my shoulders. Today's emphasis is actually shoulders because this is the second push day of the week. I'm actually supposed to start with lateral raises, and then I'm going into Smith machine high, like a high incline, almost overhead press before I even come to chest at all. So I made that mistake, but I'm gonna correct it because I'm very serious about my training right now, and we're gonna fix it. So easy swap to make, definitely not gonna go that heavy. Woo. Got a good little pump. Gonna move into some presses. One thing I've noticed lately, being like a month in to the reverse diet, is like the urge to be lazy with the little things that make a difference. You know, even if we like go back to episode 1 where I'm talking about like still tracking, still eating clean food, still doing all that stuff, the urge to be like, it's just a little bit of this, it's not a big deal, increases the further you get away from like the end of the diet or anything like that. And sometimes it's hard being at maintenance. You're like, well, the whole point is just to stay here. There's nothing more deflating than that. But, you know, having that long-term goal for me, like what a pro physique looks like, and that being like the mentality of like, okay, what do I need to create to get there? You know, like I have to like bring that back out all the time because it's tough. There's a lot of times where I think the reverse diet's harder than the diet itself, honestly. You know what I think is something that doesn't really apply to me as much anymore, but I think you could probably relate to this. When you get started on your journey, and motivation is a difficult part of the process, sometimes it's more helpful to let your pains motivate you than your pleasures, your motivations. If you're overweight, you're more likely to be consistent and develop the discipline and the willpower needed, because that's the hard part. If you think about where you're trying to get away from, the pain you're in right now, which is the lack of confidence, the lack of energy, being uncomfortable in public, sweating, smelling, whatever it may be. Like there's little ones like that I remember. That pain made me train so that I didn't have to experience that anymore. At a certain point, you fix those issues because you're healthy, you're fit and all that. And then you have to find different motivations, or you can constantly think of like, I'm not going back to that place. I think we touched a little bit on the podcast kind of about that stuff indirectly, but people don't think about that side of it. Set, and we're done. It's the last exercise. I did the shoulders, did the chest. Now I'm doing skull crushers. So we're hitting each muscle twice, but you're changing the emphasis on each exercise, potentially the joint angle. But those little subtle variations inside your program make the world of a difference. Push day done, push day 2, week 4 of the reverse diet, all over, about 5 pounds up, feeling really good, feeling really healthy. Within the next few weeks, probably 2-3 weeks, we're gonna move into a gaining phase, which we're gonna document as well. And then I'm gonna really be trying to put on muscle and get big. We're gonna go through a full bulk. In the next video, I'm gonna show you a full day of eating, my check-in with my coach in the morning. You're gonna see what I track, how I update my coach, what I eat throughout the day. If there's one thing I can just leave you with, and I hope that you leave with in this video and with all these videos, it's not motivation, it's more on that side of inspiration. It's the idea of doing more. And doing more because you can. Doing better because you can. We'll see you next time. Subscribe to the channel if this helped you. Like the video if this helped you. Comment below if you have any questions. Or if you want to answer the nipple question, if you skipped by that, you might want to go back. It was a good talk. And or it's edited out, who knows at this point. But we'll catch you guys next time.